Hey guys, welcome back. And today we are going to be doing a 7-round Indianapolis Colts mock draft. For those of you that have followed the channel for a long time, you guys know the Colts are my favorite team. And this was a tough season to kind of go through, as this was a team that I thought had really high expectations. And after that week 1 game against Houston, there was some excitement amongst Colts Nation. But after that, this season really went to a crashing halt as Anthony Richardson took some major steps back in a lot of different ways. Didn't win the media war, which I think was very important. He definitely did not improve his accuracy, and he didn't show that he can stay healthy for a full season. Now, Chris Ballard's on the hot seat. Shane Steichen is on the hot seat. And if the Colts don't succeed this year, I think a lot of people could be losing their jobs in Indianapolis. So what can Indy do to try and get back to the playoffs, try and win this division, which is something that they have yet to do under general manager Chris Ballard? How can this team save face and get back to relevancy in the NFL world? Well, that's what we're going to be attempting to do in today's mock draft, as we have a 7-round Indianapolis Colts mock draft. This is going to be based off of my board. I keep getting comments about, oh, the grades look bad. You have a lot of C and D grades. This is based on my big board, which if you guys want access to that, that is linked down in the description below. That will take you to my Patreon page, which for only $5 a month, you guys will get full access to the board that I reference numerous times throughout this video. And if you guys do enjoy my NFL draft content, it is a tool where you can find all the stats, combine and pro day numbers, player measurables, and all of my big board and scouting report information. To go a step further, we are doing trades in this. We are doing trades on a second simulator, so we're only accepting offers that we receive. So if we don't trade back and you guys want to see a trade back, there just wasn't an offer good enough on the second simulator. So those are going to be some of the housekeeping notes on this. And let's go ahead and kick this off with the Indianapolis Colts at the number 14 overall pick. All right, here at pick number 14, just to preface, we are not taking the same player in the first round multiple times in this series. We took Will Johnson already, and we took Ashton Jeanty. Those players are not on the board for this exercise. So I want to get that out of the way, because if Will Johnson was here, he would be the no-brainer pick. And we're stuck between two players, and if you're a Colts fan, you know which two players it is. Tyler Warren and Malachi Starks. Tyler Warren is the fan favorite amongst Colts Nation, and when you watch his Penn State tape from this past season, it's really easy to see why. Tyler Warren is coming off one of the best tight end seasons at the college football position that we've seen in a long time. Tyler Warren was absolutely out of this world this past season for the Penn State Nittany Lions. He took snaps everywhere for Penn State this past year, whether that be in the slot, whether that be in line. This is a guy that played everywhere. 33.1% of his snaps came in line, 47.3% in the slot. He took snaps under center. He had a really productive season for Penn State, and it even shows up in the reception number. 104 receptions, 1,230 yards, 8 receiving touchdowns. He was the second most productive tight end in the country behind Harold Fannin Jr. This is a guy that can block incredibly well. He is going to be an impact player, not just in the receiving game, but in the running game as well. As a blocker, you can play him in wildcat formation. He is a really unique tight end prospect that is the number 11 player on my big board. He's absolutely fantastic, and he is an instant upgrade over the tight end position for the Colts. But I think Malachi Starks is another really interesting prospect. He's my number 14 overall player, 6'1", 205 pounds. Yes, he had a bit of a down season this past year for Georgia, but if you put on his 2023 tape, some of the best safety tape we've seen in a number of years. He's a guy that could play single high safety. He could play zone. He could play man. You could put him in the slot. You could put him in the box, and he could be productive really anywhere that you put him. He's got good athleticism. He's got good change of direction, fluid hips. He might not be the fastest player in the world, but if you're a safety, speed is not really my biggest concern because he's versatile. He's a fluid mover. He's a strong tackler. He can defend the run. And I really like Malachi Starks as a prospect, but I am ultimately going to go with Tyler Warren. I think getting a true weapon for Anthony Richardson in the pass game is very important. You've got to upgrade the receiving room because the tight end room was a disaster last year, whether it be Mo Alley Cox, whether it be Drew Ogletree, even Jelani Woods, who has yet to really see the field. You just need an upgrade at that position. I think Tyler Warren gives you that instant upgrade that you're looking for. So he will be my pick at number 14. At pick number 45, this is where I think safety becomes a big position of need. Julian Blackmon is a free agent, and if you look at the safety room for Indianapolis, it hasn't necessarily been the most productive in the world. They just don't have a lot of elite play on the back end. I think you have decent enough safeties, but you don't really have that high end top safety in the league. And I think you could get that. I think Xavier Watts is a player that Indianapolis fans are absolutely going to love. For one, he's got the Indiana State connection, a guy that was very productive for Notre Dame this past season and was just one of the best safeties in the country over the past two. Tremendous ball skills. It seems like if the football is in the air, Xavier Watts is going to find a way to come down with it. He's really quick, really active to the football. And I think he's a really good overall player. He's 6 foot, 203 pounds. He's just sound in coverage. He's got great closing speed. His ball skills are phenomenal. I don't think he's a great run defender. I don't really think that's his game, but I think he's a perfect contrast to Nick Cross. I think Nick Cross is more of that box safety, that guy who's going to come downhill, play the run. Xavier Watts is more of that free safety over the top, the guy that is going to get interceptions, be that roaming free safety on the back end. And he's been very good at that over the past couple of years. I think Xavier Watts would be a phenomenal addition to the back end of this Indianapolis Colts defense. And he's a perfect fit for what Lou Anarumo and his defense wants to run. If you go back to that Bengals defense that was so good when they went to the Super Bowl, they had two safeties that were very productive for them in Jesse Bates and Von Bell. I think Xavier Watts has a lot of really good traits to be that type of player, and I'm going to take him here at 45. All right, the Philadelphia Eagles came calling, and we are going to make this trade with the Super Bowl champions. They want to move up from pick 96 to 80. They're going to give us number 129. We're going to give up number 191. So we're going to move up in the fourth round. We're going to move back 16 spots. I like this move for us. It wouldn't really be a Colts draft without Chris Ballard trading back a couple of times, but I think this move gives us some more enticing draft capital to work with if we do want to maneuver the board. So I'm going to make this deal with Philadelphia here. Here at number 96, we are going to stick and pick. The Vikings made us a deal, but I just couldn't figure out a way to work it. We are going to make a pick here for a corner. I think the secondary was the Colts' weakest point last season. You had Juju Brents go down early with an injury. And outside of that, I really was surprised at the lack of cornerback help that this team tried to bring in the offseason. I don't think they're going to make that same mistake again. You've got a good slot corner in Kenny Moore. Juju Brents has shown flashes, but I don't know how well he's going to fit Lou Anarumo's defense. That is heavy press coverage. They want to run a lot of man-to-man. So with that in mind, I'm really intrigued by Kansas cornerback Cobee Bryant. This is a player that I think is really under the radar in this cornerback class. This is a guy that has been incredibly productive for the Jayhawks over the past few seasons, and he's just a phenomenal athlete. I would not be surprised in the slightest if this is a guy that runs in the 4.3s. This is a guy that played a little bit of everywhere. 29% of his snaps in man, 52% of his snaps in zone, with really good coverage grade this past season, 76.9. He's a sure tackler for the position, and he's going to do a little bit of everything. But what you love about him, once again, are the ball skills. This is a ball hawk on the back end of your defense, a guy that is just going to come down with interceptions. 4 interceptions and 4 pass breakups in 2024 for Kansas. He was one of the shining points of that Kansas defense. I'm a big fan of him. I think he's under the radar. He is a player that I have a 3rd round grade on. I think he's going to get taken maybe even higher than this come draft night. I currently have him. Where do I have him on the big board? I currently have Cobee Bryant sitting with I'm trying to find him on my big board here. I currently have him as my number 93 overall player. So right in this range. I think he's a very good corner that's got physicality. He's a beast in press, but he's good in zone as well. Could do a little bit of everything for you. I think he's a perfect fit for Lou Anarumo's defense. I'm going to take Cobee Bryant at number 96. We're going to do another trade back here. The Detroit Lions are willing to give us pick number 133 and 198 to move up 17 spots to 116. I just want to acquire more draft capital on this draft. I think there's some really good positions that we could look to address. So I'm going to make this move with Detroit, get an extra sixth rounder in there, and I'm going to make this trade with the Lions. Here at number 129, I'm going to go with the player that did not have the season many were expecting for Oklahoma State, but I still think the talent is there and it's worth an investment. And that's going to be Ollie Gordon, the running back from Oklahoma State. This is a player that was unbelievable in the 2024 or the 2023, campaign for Oklahoma State, where he just was out of his mind. One of the best running backs in college football. This past season, Oklahoma State was a complete and utter disaster where he went from I believe he had almost 2,000 yards in 2023. He only had 854 yards, averaging 4.5 yards per carry, only 12 rushing touchdowns. Didn't really have the season that you were expecting, but this is a power runner. He's a guy that can run between the tackles. He's good after contact. And I kind of think the Colts are looking for that in a running back. You obviously have Jonathan Taylor. He's a big play threat whenever he can touch the football. I don't really think you have that thunder, that powerful back in the backfield. And I think Ollie Gordon can be that. He doesn't have the greatest vision in the world. He's not the most explosive athlete in the world, but he's 6'1", 233 pounds, long arms. This is a guy that is going to just be a physical, hard-nosed runner of the football. I think that's what the Colts need in a RB2. They don't really have a lot of consistency. Jonathan Taylor has dealt with his injury concerns. I don't think you can go into the season with Trey Sermon as the number 2 running back again. So I'm going to spend some pretty heavy draft capital here, a 4th-round pick to get Ollie Gordon, who I think could be a starting running back in the case of injury if Jonathan Taylor goes down. And I think he's a perfect complement to Jonathan Taylor's skill set. So he's going to be my pick here at 129. Here at number 133, what Indianapolis has really lacked over the past couple of seasons is depth on the interior of this defensive line. They went out and signed Raekwon Davis last year as one of their few out-of-team free agent signings, and it was fine. I think they need to address some draft capital, though, and go get some depth on the interior because I think it's really lacking at this point. And there are a couple of guys that I have my eye on. CJ West from Indiana, a really good nose tackle, run stopper. I think he's a perfect player for if Grover Stewart goes down. He was fantastic for Indiana this past season. I've got him as my number 15 interior defensive lineman. He's 6 foot, 314 pounds. Does have shorter arms for the position, but is just a really good run stopper. That's what he is. He is your prototypical nose tackle. I think he could be really good at the next level. I also think Jamari Caldwell out of Oregon is probably the player that I am going to go with. He's listed here at number 212 on the big board. He is much higher than that on my board. If you look at the tape, this is a guy that does not move like a guy that is 342 pounds. He's 6'2", 342 pounds. Another guy, shorter arms, 32.25-inch arms, but he is explosive, freakish size, good body control, a good run defender. He's got good upper body strength. I don't think he has like this crazy pass rush upside, but there are times where he shows you the active hands. He shows you the ability to get into the backfield. If this is your 3rd interior defensive lineman, you feel really confident about the defensive line that you're putting onto the field each and every week. I think Jamari Caldwell is a really good player that's going to rise up the draft board after the combine. I've got a 3rd-round grade on him. For this exercise, I'm going to take him in the 4th round. I think split the difference here. I think he's a great fit. He's going to be my pick here at 133. Here at pick number 152, with Will Fries being a free agent, I do expect Indianapolis to bring him back, but I do think improving the interior of the offensive line and just getting more depth could be a good investment. Ryan Kelly is a free agent. You expect Tanner Bortolini is going to step in and start there, but if he doesn't, I think you could definitely look to upgrade that spot. I really like Luke Kandra. I think he might single-handedly be the most underrated draft prospect in the class. He's my number 9 interior offensive lineman, but I've got a 3rd-round grade on him, and I think he's a borderline top 100 player in the class for me. I think he's a really, really good interior offensive lineman. that can play both the left side, can play both the right side. If you go back, this is a guy that started his career at Louisville. He can run block really well, but he's a very good pass protector as well. Was a bit surprised to find out didn't get invited to any of the All-Star events. This is a guy that has been productive for the Bearcats. He had allowed just 8 pressures and 0 sacks this past year. Reminds me a lot of Wyatt Teller from the Cleveland Browns, who has been a really good guard throughout his career. I think he's a fantastic player. He can run block. He's a good athlete. He's strong. I think he's going to be a really good starting guard at the next level. And again, if this is your third guard, you feel pretty good about it. He is heavy on his feet. You'd like to see that. He's not great at recognizing blitzes. And I don't think that he has the most consistent angles in the run game. But when he connects, he is a difference maker, a people mover. I'm going to take Luke Kandra here at number 152. Here at 198, the coverage aspect of the linebacker position has felt like a complete disaster at times for this Colts defense. Both EJ Speed and Zaire Franklin. I like Zaire Franklin. This linebacker room needs to improve, though. I really liked what you saw down the stretch from Jalen Carlisle. I think he could be a good linebacker for this team. I think you still got to improve the coverage aspect of this thing, though. And Aaron Smith from South Carolina State is a player that I think NFL fans need to get familiar with. Number one, the last time the Colts drafted a linebacker from South Carolina State, it worked out pretty freaking well as Shaq Leonard went on to be a fantastic player for this team. I don't think he is a Shaq Leonard level prospect. I don't think he's that type of athlete because he's not the guy that's going to come downhill and defend the run at a super high level. That's just not his game. But if we're putting him up in just strictly in coverage, I think he is one of the best coverage linebackers in the entire draft class. He's got good quickness to the ball. The ball skills are on point. He's 6 foot, 226 pounds. He's got good burst and quickness. The change of direction is there, and he's got really good zone instincts. That's the type of player that I will invest a top 200 pick into. I have a 5th-round grade on Aaron Smith. I think he's one of the more underappreciated linebackers in the draft class. So I'm going to take him here at 198 and just try to improve the coverage consistency of this linebacker group. At 234, I'm going to go with an edge rusher. I think when you look at the Colts, the edge room looks pretty thin for the future. Dayo Odeyingbo is a free agent in the 2025 free agency class. And then in 2026, Tyquan Lewis, Kwity Paye, and Samson Ebukam are all free agents that will likely not all return. I loved the pick of Laiatu Latu. I think you could look to build off of that. A player that I just don't understand why he's not getting the love and respect he deserves is Wake Forest's Jashin Davis. This is a guy that was down at the Hula Bowl, and I think he's a really solid edge rusher. I loved his tape in 2023, and he put up another relatively solid season for the Demon Deacons where he was fine for them. He's 6'3", 259 pounds. He's got good long arms. He's a fluid mover with a quick first step, great bend, showcases an array of pass rush moves, a filthy swim move. He had a spin move. I don't think he has elite speed into the backfield, does worry about missed tackles from time to time, which I don't love. I think he's got inconsistent technique there. I think he's a really solid under-the-radar edge rusher that could develop to being a solid rotational piece in the league. So I'm going to take Jashin Davis at 234 to round out this draft class just to get some more depth in the edge department. I think Adetomiwa Adebawore should convert to edge this season to get more snaps. I think he fits the scheme well in that spot. It's where he played at Northwestern. But either way, I'm going to take Jashin Davis here at 234 to round out this class. So there we have it, Colts fans, my 7-round Indianapolis Colts mock draft. I'd love to hear from you guys, though. Do you guys like the draft? Do you not? Let me know down in the comment section below which picks you liked, which picks you didn't like. Love that type of content. Love that type of interaction with you guys in the comment section. Leave a like on this video. Subscribe if you are new. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.